It does, Ed, and one of the things that also is missing, and that I try to do in everything I write, and I will be doing almost every time that I write something, going forward between now and when this is fully implemented, is that we need to be taken back to a reminder of why we had to have reform in the first place. Americans understandably have lost sight of that with all of the political posturing and the misleading information and the outright lies. We've just simply forgotten just how dysfunctional, how unfair, how inequitable our healthcare system is, how expensive, and why we needed to address it in the first place. So, it's no wonder people are confused.
Well, the other thing, the conversation that comes from the political pundits forcing the anti-conversation about Obamacare is that people are going to be forced to do something. Yeah. Answer that.
Well, again, there is an individual mandate that will go into effect. It's called the individual mandate. What that means is that most of us, there will be a requirement that we have to get coverage similar to the requirement that we have to get auto insurance if we drive a car. You don't have to do it. I mean, you can get a penalty. It doesn't mean that you are going to be forced to do something, but if you don't, you will be subject to a fairly modest penalty in the beginning of this next year. But the vast majority of us, that will not even apply to us either. Most of us who have coverage get it through the workplace. And many of the rest of us are either enrolled in Medicare or Medicaid or some other public program. So it's irrelevant to us there too. It applies to a relatively small percentage of the people who are uninsured. And here is another thing: most people who are uninsured are not that way by choice. They're that way because, as you mentioned, they can't get it in many cases at any price from insurance companies because of their pre-existing conditions. They've been deemed uninsurable by insurance companies today, and many others just can't buy it because it's too expensive. They're being charged too much for it. So the way the law is structured, there is a requirement that people who don't have coverage do get it, but it's not an onerous request, and it is very similar to what we have to
turning it anywhere from 25 to 33%. Interesting how that profit quiets those folks down. This is more people being serviced in the industry, which calls for more manufacturing. That's how I read it, Mr. Potter. Your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely true. When you get more people covered, you get more people who are able to access care. It's to everyone's benefit, certainly to those who are getting the care, but also to caregivers and to drug makers and to insurance companies and hospitals and doctors. One of the major points of the law was to bring more people into coverage so that they're getting the care that they need in the appropriate setting at the right time, and that's an advantage to everybody, not just the individuals, but to caregivers as well.
Okay, two-part question here. How are insurance companies benefiting from Obamacare, and how are they being honest brokers?
Well, they're benefiting because most of them will be getting new customers by requiring that insurance companies not blackball anybody in the future. That means that they have to enroll people, but it levels the playing field for all insurance companies. They'll be getting a lot more customers who'll be paying premiums, and those who have had a hard time or will have a hard time paying the premiums of their own will be getting some subsidies in terms of tax credits to help pay for coverage. So insurance companies will be getting a significant new revenue stream. And the thing that they don't like from the Affordable Care Act are the new consumer protections and the new regulations on them. I mean, if we're going to require people to